have to make a seat for Elijah. Okay, see, I may have been born Southern Baptist, but I'm Jewish at heart. First of all, thank you, Malcolm, for your friendship and support for 25 years. Thank you, Kevin, for your leadership with the Human Rights Alliance. Some of you know that I had multiple travel disasters today, that from the moment I left my apartment in Brooklyn to the moment I walked in tonight was 14 hours. But I was determined. I was not going to let Malcolm down. So I got here, and I'm so glad I did. Icon means you're old. I'm not stupid. And listening to the "This Is Your Life" presentation I just got, I feel like, everybody's got a pine casket all up in. But I was reflecting this year. I was on the Lambda Legal float in New York, and I realized on that float that it was the 40th anniversary of my first Pride, which was in Boston in 1986. So I'm curious, though, I'm going to do 2 pop quizzes. Number 1, did anybody here go to a Pride before 1986? Excellent. And Malcolm referenced the fact that when I started GLSEN, there were very few legal protections. When we started the GSA in 1988, only one state banned discrimination based on sexual orientation. If anybody guesses it right, I will send you a free copy of my book.
Washington.
Not Rhode Island, not Washington. Not Mississippi. Wisconsin. 88. You get a free copy of the book. It was Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the first state. And also the first state to send an out LGBT person to the U.S. Senate.
Yes.
Tammy Baldwin. Yes. So people tend to think that all the gay history happened in New York and San Francisco. Is just not true. And I very much agree with what you're saying. New Mexico is a beacon. Yes. And it is so important that you remain a beacon.
Yeah.
We have to remember that in 20 states, we still control the gears of power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've got to build models in those states so that when the national pendulum swings back, we can just say, why don't you just do what New Mexico did? It worked great there. So that is what we have to do. And I've been thinking a lot lately, and I noticed there are a few people here who might be my age in the room. My parents and my aunts and uncles were part of what was called the Greatest Generation. And they were called the Greatest Generation because when democracy was under attack, when America's values were being assaulted, they stood up to the fascists. They stood up to the Nazis. And they fought back. And if you're my age, you might remember being a little kid and asking your parents and your aunts and your uncles the most important question of all. What did you do during the war? Because you wanted to know that when democracy was under attack, your family had fought back. And the great hero of my family was my Uncle Mickey, who served in the European theater, was a decorated veteran, and who unfortunately died when I was 5, so I didn't know him much. But he was our family's hero. I wouldn't learn until I was in my 40s that my Uncle Mickey was also a man who had to serve in silence, because in that era, people who were LGBT could not serve in our armed forces and be honest about who they were. So Uncle Mickey served a country that didn't serve him. But when everything was at risk, when democracy was under attack, when liberty and justice for all was at risk, my Uncle Mickey answered the call. So I think about it a lot. Well, it's 80 years later. And guess what's happening again? Democracy is under attack. The values that we believe in, the values of equality, liberty, and justice for all are under attack. Except this time, like they say in a horror movie, the call is coming from inside the house. It's not some foreign country doing it to us. It is our own leadership. Parenthetical comment, I'm very happy that Lambda Legal has prosecuted 20 cases against Donald Trump. We have won 18. I'm very grateful to my colleague Shelley Steen, who came up from Dallas to be with us tonight as well. So thank you, Shelley. The fact of the matter is, 10, 20, 30 years from now, young people, maybe your grandchildren, maybe your nieces and nephews, maybe queer young people, are going to ask you, when everything was at risk in the Trump era, what did you do? What did you do during that war? And because you're here tonight, because you're standing with the Human Rights Alliance, because you're putting your money where your mouth is, you'll be able to look those young people in the eye and say, I fought back.
Yeah.
So that was the real reason I put up with a 14-hour trip to get here today. Because I wanted to thank you. President Obama was famous for a quote. We are the ones we have been waiting for. There's no cavalry out there, like in the old Westerns, that's going to ride in and rescue our community. We're going to have to save ourselves. And you are the cavalry. You are the people we have been waiting for. You are the people who have stood up and said, not on my watch. Not when I'm on this planet. Not in my country will you propagate hatred and division. So thank you for being soldiers in this war. Thank you for fighting with everything you've got. And I promise you, we may lose some battles, but we're going to win this war. And we're going to win because we're right. Thank you.